Oh shit, is this the right show? Are we tuned into OTI? Are we tuned into politics as usual? No, we're not. We are tuned into the bar exam. This is your boy Shane G. I am filling in for our lovely host, Allie. You know, she had to take care of something. So, you know, I'm just going to sit in for her, but we're going to hold it down for the ladies today. You know what I'm saying? This is a fun episode for me because I've never gotten to do the show. You know what I'm saying? So, Eric G, Mr. Marcus TV, how we doing, fellas?
What up? What up? What up?
What's good? What's good?
I mean, I'm just ready to have some fun with y'all. You know what I'm saying? And so once again, welcome to the Bar Exam right here on Ethos Media Network. Make sure you like, you share, you subscribe. Now, what we're here to talk about today is we're going to each give you two artists who we need to revisit their catalog. We need to revisit some of their past to see if they're truly appreciated the way that they deserve to be. You know what I mean? We have some legends. We have some newer people. And, you know, let's get right into it, man. So, Marcus, I'm going to start with you, bro. Because you picked one of me and Eric's favorite artists.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, we're going to start on the male side with you. Who did you pick, sir?
I picked the one and only Juicy J. You know, the legendary Juicy J. You know, the catalyst of 3-6 Mafia. You know, the producer behind the ho. You know, that is synonymous with hip hop right now. And I feel like Juicy J has, you know, never took an L. Never. I don't think I think since, you know, the Oscar, you know, until now, you know, they had the show, the Oscar, put Memphis on the map. And then, you know, you use this word a lot, you know, second stage, you know, second chapter of the career, you know. Wiz helped him, or he helped Wiz. You know, it was a mutually beneficial arrangement when he linked up with Wiz Khalifa, and I didn't see it being as prominent then as what it turned out to be. I was like, you know, why would he go there? And then I didn't see it. And Juicy J is one of those artists who has definitely been relevant for the entire 2000s. From literally the entire before the 2000s. So we in 2023, there's not a year you can say Juicy J wasn't relevant with a relevant artist, you know, and crossover appeal. Because Dark Horse with Katy Perry is still hits today. So,
and you know what? That's interesting too. Eric definitely piggyback, you know, jump in on the Juicy conversation because I know this is your man's.
Oh, come on.
I think Juicy is one of those rare people who damn near had 3 careers. Because if you think about it, he had 3-6 Mafia, the 90s version, which was all the underground, you know what I'm saying? And then they kind of peaked with Scissor, right? Then they kind of faded away for a little bit. Then they had another resurgence in like the early 2000s, if you remember, with Riding Spinners and all that shit. Then he disappeared again, then they chilled again. Then they came back out with the movie. Chilled again. Then he came back with the solo shit with Wiz. So Eric, jump in, bro.
I mean, yeah, you're pretty much spot on. I mean, Juicy J has pretty much had 3 different careers at this point. Like it's crazy how much he's reinvented himself and like stayed the exact same at the exact same time. Like it's crazy because like first you had the like early 3-6, like just coming into the game, but like not giving a fuck and just like showing everybody that like, yeah, we're really about this shit and this is the sound that we're coming with and we don't give a fuck what anybody else is talking about. This is what we're coming with. And that's where you get all that early 3-6 shit, that tear the club up shit, that on that Scissor, like all that type of shit. Like
why you hating?
Then you get to the early 2000s, and then you get really like it's funny because it's like I would almost say if you're really thinking about it, Juicy almost had 4 different waves because there was that early 3-6 wave, then there was that early 2000s with that Riding Spinners and Bin Laden and
Bin Laden weed. That was a
all that shit. Like you get all that, and then you get to like the mid 2000s because they took like a break for maybe a year or two, but then they came back with Stay Fly, Popping My Collar, like you know what I'm saying? Like and then the movie shit with what was the movie with Terrence Howard?
Yeah, Hustle and Flow.
Yep. So that was right all around the same time period. And then, 3 6 went through their whole little shit. But then once again, Juicy just finds a way to stay relevant. And right around the time that Lex Luger was becoming one of the hottest producers in the game when he like first linked with Rick Ross, Juicy came out with like, I want to say like 3 different tapes with him.
Blue Dreams
and that Blue Dream and Lean tape. When he came out with that shit, he was out of here. Because that had Zip in a double cup. That had the early version of what's that shit that gets played in the strip club all the time? Bands that make her dance.
Man.
Version of that. Or the Wayne remix. Like before the change shit, before he hopped on that, like before all that. So like he was just cooking up in like the 2010s, like the early 2010s. He was just cooking up, and by the time we got to 2014, that's when that Dark Horse shit was popping, and by that point, you couldn't tell Juicy J shit at that point.
So
he was solidified at that point.
This is gonna sound weird, and I just thought of this comparison right now. I think Juicy J has had a better solo second career than Snoop's post later career. It's like flip flop. Snoop, we remember the old Snoop. It's nothing really Snoop. I mean, after Drop It Like It's Hot, nobody was really, on a Snoop bandwagon. So you just remember like, oh yeah, that's Snoop Dogg. But Juicy has came, we don't remember the early Juicy. We remember the producing. But his second, he has hits. His second time around, you like, oh, and because I was thinking like, who could Juicy J really have an artist battle with? And Snoop came to my mind, and then it was kind of like they have almost an opposite career, in terms of longevity and substance. That I think it'd be interesting to see. The old Juicy, new Snoop, old Juicy. It's like it's a kind of a yin and yang type of artist, and they clearly are from different, regions. But I think that's the close, and they've always both been relevant. Always, they've never there was never a time where Snoop fell off. There was never a time where Juicy fell off. They disappeared, but they never was like, ooh, you never got that.
So let me ask you this, Marcus, since you brought Juicy to the table, let me ask you. I don't know how this could be possible, but let's assume it is. Let's say that there's somebody who has never heard Juicy J or 3 6 Mafia before. Give me an early 3 6 Mafia song that they should check out, an early, I guess you could say, Juicy song, or an early Juicy verse, or, something memorable that Juicy did specifically. So give me 2 songs from early, and then give me 2 from later that you would recommend to a new listener to be like, this is Juicy J.
I'm gonna go with Tear the Club Up as one, and This Bitch That Hoe.
Okay.
Yeah, if you hear those, yeah, that's early Juicy. Yeah, this bit. Yeah, when you hear that's definitely because he produced that. That's one of those title tracks that just go even right now. And then Juicy, that was early. And then you said 2 more for Juicy late.
Yeah, like more recent, 2010, something like that.
Because he, I actually just listened to his new one, Crypto Wars. So it's got some bangers on there too. It's so I keep it real simple. The full, you get the full artist just with Dark Horse, like we said, and Bands Will Make a Dance. Because those are also 2 different sides. He's rapping about the same thing, but 2 different genre tracks he's not the same. It's not. It's the same artist, but it's not the same flow and it's not the same subject matter. So and to be paired to, you know, clearly Snoop Dogg had Martha Stewart, right? We keep making this. You would never think Katy Perry could be hard,
right?
You know, and not to say nothing about her as an artist, it's just an unlikely pairing, you know.
Exactly.
It'd be if Jeezy did the same thing with Taylor Swift.
Literally, yeah. That's a great comparison, actually. That's so funny, but yeah.
You know, we would just not expect it, and you know, that's just not. There's no matter of fact, I can't even tell you another Katy Perry song.
Right, realistic. I Kissed a Girl.
Okay, yeah.
That's the only one I can think of because that was a blow-up song.
California song she did with Snoop.
Well, see, with Snoop though, so you know what I'm saying. It's got to be paired with something familiar. So
yeah,
you feel me? I'm gonna jump in next. I'm gonna go ahead and jump in real quick, and then Eric, I'm gonna let you get, you know what I'm saying, your guy off because there's an extensive catalog to go through with yours. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna let you get your shit off. But let me step in here real quick, and I want to discuss this guy right here. This is one of my favorite rappers of all time. Pretty much instantly was one of my favorite rappers the second he came out, and that is Mr. Chuck Taylor, The Game. So I'm gonna get into some early Game bars on this one actually because you know, I feel like this was one of the freestyles that made me go, who is this nigga? And then I heard him go, like, be affiliated with G-Unit, and I was already a G-Unit fan. So I was like, okay. And then he came on some West Coast shit, and I've always been a big fan of West Coast music. So when it was a new nigga that was, like, coming to take the man on, he was with the biggest crew at the time and all that shit, I dove head first into everything he had available. And this is one of the freestyles, you know, some of the bars that he dropped that just made me go like, this nigga's ill. Like, so this is from the What Happened to That Boy freestyle. So what happened to that boy? He ran with the wrong game, fucked up in the hood, brought fiends the wrong cane. NWA, nigga, your Compton still crooked. Make niggas fly off them ropes like Jimmy Fly Snooker. Your neighborhood pusher, and I got them clips. Streets is talking, game got shot by Crips. It's okay, the kid catch bullets like Tim Brown, and you're right back in the field with the rock like Jim Brown, the young gun. Not Memphis Bleak, the protege of Doc Dre with them bricks for cheap. I hustle in the CPT where they play for keeps. No money in dice games, nigga, we play for pinks. And the kid got a 6'8" game like T-Mac. Winning WA on his neck like Easy E back. In the Desert Eagle bang like a DRE track. So try to ball and get left with Pat, you ain't kneecaps. Like, just crazy bars. Like, nobody else, maybe besides Banks, was really rapping like that at the time. And then, like, Fab, kind of. Like, Jadakiss, you know, he was doing this shit with D-Block and everything, but nobody from the West was rapping like that. So, when I heard that shit, I fell in love with his catalog, with his whole music. Obviously, the documentary, one of the greatest albums of all time in hip-hop history. I don't think anybody really argues with that. I think he has one of the most underrated catalogs in hip-hop history. And that's not just because he's my favorite rapper. If anything, he is my favorite rapper based on the skill, and I just feel like other people don't necessarily recognize it. A lot of people, you know, used to do the whole, oh, he name drops too much. Well, listen to music now and tell me who doesn't name drop all the time. You know what I'm saying? So that argument's out of here. Quality of music, you know, features, you know, staying in the mix as far as like with who's hot. You know what I mean? He gets a Drake feature whenever he wants one. You know what I'm saying? He gets a Future feature whenever he wants one. So you can't tell me the nigga's not relevant. You know what I mean? So it's just Game. That's my pick. What are y'all's thoughts on Game?
I love Game. I've pretty much been a Game fan since you first introduced me to him back in the day. And it's very easy to like Game because of a few reasons. Number one, I like storytelling in my raps. And he's a very good storyteller. Whether it comes from him talking about the shit that he's been going through, whether it's painting a picture of a different story of him just painting it as an artist, or whether it's just him talking his shit. He's just good at that shit. So I've always fucked with Game for that. I agree with you. I think he is also very underrated. I think his discography is I don't think Game has any whack albums, personally. If you go up and down Game's discography from albums to mixtapes, I don't really think you can point out one and say that this is a dud. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't. It like, to me, like, it just, I can't think of one. Name me one Game album right now that is like considered whack.
And not only that, but Marcus, I'm gonna get you in here too. But not only that, but I would say that Game is also one of those people who doesn't get credit for the amount of work that he puts out as well. Because if you think about it, right? Why is Lil Wayne, what is one of the reasons that Lil Wayne is considered the greatest rapper, or one of the, top 4, top 5, whatever, right? I would argue that it's based on volume as well.
I'm not just off of you after you finish this, but go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I would say a lot of it is based on volume, right? Because he put out so much product for people to like, and it was all good for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you could pick a track here and there, but for the most part, the bodies of work were all good, and there was a lot of them. How many mixtapes did this nigga Wayne have, and albums, right? Game is one of those artists. He's like a Gucci in that sense, or or a Wayne, or early G on it. Like, he has so many mixtapes, and all of his albums are 16 tracks plus. See, like, the last 2 joints he just put out were both double albums. So I just wanted to make that point as well, that his volume is crazy. But go ahead, Marcus.
I got to disagree with you on that one. So the Wayne argument only in this sense, people, everyone. I didn't listen to Game, mixtape Game. I listened to artist album Game. So I wasn't, he was already established when I was introduced to him. So Lil Wayne and Squad Up was a little different because that was everywhere. So that's why, the whole mixtape Wayne and, is Game mixtapes weren't everywhere. I'm not going to say they didn't do numbers, but I'm just going to say it wasn't as prominent as Wayne. But back to the Game, 2006 Doctor's Advocate album. Game has one of the biggest remixes to date, even now. The One Blood song was it. There was not another beat that was in a cipher that was listening, that DJs was spinning. If you wanted to do a cipher show and you had different styles of different artists, you picked One Blood, and every style of rap could get on this song. And the fact that this remix, I was on DigiWax when the remix dropped, and I played it on the radio show like that year. There wasn't an artist who was on the there was a New York remix, there was a Florida remix, there was a Texas remix, there was a Midwest remix, there was a down south remix, there was a California, there were 2 California remix because there was a Bay Area, and then there was the LA version of the remix. He had remix, and we talking about a 7-minute track that was done by Regions that has never been replicated. Never. There's no song that Regions have got on, like, I have got to get on this song. That has never been done in. So that's, that in itself puts Game in top 10 all the time right there.
And just in addition to that, I wasn't just real quick, I wasn't making the argument that that Game's popularity during his mixtape era was the same as Wayne's.
Oh, okay.
My argument was part of the aura of Lil Wayne being the greatest rapper is the amount of music he put out.
Okay.
That's what I was saying. And I was just saying that Game is one of those artists who doesn't get enough credit for the amount of music he puts out. That was the only comparison I was making. But to piggyback off your last point before I give it to Eric is who else has a 15-minute diss record that got played on the radio, got played sometimes in the club when it first came out, and actually got rotation and listened to beyond just, damn, he dissed the shit out of them niggas and that was it. 300 Bars, I would say, is a classic record. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Nobody else can do that either, you know what I mean? So shout out the gang. All right. Eric, let's go. Who is your guy before we move on to the ladies?
All right. So my guy is a guy that I've talked about a little bit on this show before, but no, I can talk a little bit more about him more extensively. And this is a guy that is currently locked up right now, and just want to show some love to my guy Young Thug, man. Free my boy Thugger, man. Young Thug. I was introduced to Young Thug at a very interesting time, because when I was first introduced to Young Thug, it was very early on. So I got a chance to kind of get hip to his discography when it was early. Like, this was back, I'm talking like before Barter 6 came out. So I was hip when all of that shit was first starting to come out. So when Check first came out, like when all of those early songs came out, like when With That first came out, like it was a lot of early shit that I was first getting put on that, like, a lot of people knew about, but like as far as like the masses, like a lot of people still weren't like super hip to Thug, or either they heard him and they just were not fucking with him at all yet. So I just got to really like watch Thug grow into what he is now, and I never thought that I would have seen Thug get this big based off of the work that he's put out. Just because I didn't really think people were going to catch on to it like that, to be honest with you, because Thug is a very eccentric artist. Like, he's one of those artists where you either love him or you hate him. Like, there's not a lot of wiggle room in between. So for me, very early on, I was drawn to Thug because of how different he was, of how different he rapped. It reminded me a lot of early Wayne when I first heard him, but like not the early Wayne as far as like early rapping Wayne. I'm talking like when Wayne first started getting experimental. That's what Thug kind of reminded me of. But Thug just like kind of took it and pushed it to a whole different level. And again, it still blows my mind that Thug is as big as he is today. Like, to be honest with you. And again, I will credit a lot of artists like Kanye and like Cudi and people like that for pushing that envelope for artists like Thug and Travis and people like that to be relevant. But my favorite thing about Thug personally is that not only can he give you the melodies, he can give you the great hooks, he can give you the silly ass shit, he can also give you some bars. And the first time that a lot of people that I personally think took notice to it was Thug's verse on that Drake mixtape. Let me see. That Drake mixtape, it was the More Life mixtape. Came out back in...
That's what it was for me. I can definitely say that.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure I know what song you're talking about, and that definitely made me go, wait, is he rapping?
Yep. Because a lot of people said that when a lot of people first heard that song, they were like, this sounds like Wayne. Like, this is like really sounds like Wayne. He's like getting into his like Wayne pocket on that. Like, you could even just tell from the flow when he like first starts it out, like even in like the kind of voice that he gives, because he's like kind of he's not his voice, like he normally gives like a high octave on like his songs. On this one, he's talking very subdued. He's letting you know what it is off the rip. I was stealing from a bitch back when I was 21. My favorite gun was a Sig. 20 in the clip, had one. Growing up, I was a running back. You never made me ran once. I got shot, sweat running. That shit was red like Hunt. And then throughout all that, he's giving you the ad lib. So when he's like, I was stealing from a bitch, slime. Back when I was 21, facts. My favorite gun was a Sig 9. No, 21 in the clip, had 1. No cocking. Like, he's giving you all the shit in between. So he's like plotting this shit out before he's even saying it, like kind of on some Wayne ad lib shit. And that's what that shit really reminded me of. And when people first heard that verse, people was like, oh, nah, Thug can really rap. And when I first heard that, I was like, nigga, I've been trying to tell y'all niggas that Thug can rap. You guys just ain't listening. But I understand it because a lot of Thug's older shit, like now I can go back and listen to it with different ears and understand it way more than I could when I heard it. But back then, I can understand why people would be like, this guy can't rap, because like he was very unintelligible in a lot of those early projects. But if there's any songs that I could say to listen to by Thug that would let you know that, oh, okay, Thug's good and he can rap, I would say it's the intro off Slime Season 2. Just listen to that intro, and that'll just let you know off the rip that Thug can rap. Just listen to that.
You know what else I noticed that's dope that I didn't notice until you brought up the ad libs. His ad libs rhyme.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when you were, he was like, I was stealing from a bitch, slime. Back when I was 21, and then what was the next one? He said no cap, right? Or facts. Then he said, then what was the next line?
My favorite gun was a Sig 9.
A 9. 9 rhymes with slime. 20. You see what I'm saying? So I'm like, that's dope. Like, go ahead.
Young Thug was, when you started off, he was like, either you didn't like him or, he was just, you hated him. And that really wasn't the case with me. I didn't understand this nigga.
Same. That was always my issue.
Yeah, it wasn't until it wasn't. I did not like him. I didn't understand, and he was part of that. Clearly now I can't say this, but then when it happened into that new Atlanta, if that it was Atlanta was shifting and was changing, and he was like, who is this nigga? Like, and he had to reverse Kevin Gates. So Kevin Gates, you loved his interviews more than sometimes you loved his music. Whereas Young Thug, you didn't know who that was. You was a fan of his, but then when you was an interview, you was like, who the fuck is this weird ass nigga? But then you was always in the club, then you was like, oh, Danny Glover came on, Stoner came on. You was like this, but then when you heard this nigga talk, and then he got the rings and doing all of this, you like, what the fuck? Like, I'm not a fan of this nigga, but then you was a fan because you didn't know those were his songs. So, and it was also that, like, it was that, I call it that Pimp C shit, Atlanta ain't the South. That's Eastern time,
Yeah, that was crazy.
That was crazy, but that's when, but now to literally say that Young Thug pioneered trap music is not a stretch. That's a fact now. But to say that then he was not trap. He was. I mean, he clearly is now. We know that. But when he came out, that was not you. You wanted Dope Boy Jeezy. You wanted T.I. You weren't looking for and he was kind of that new Atlanta shift. So I didn't understand and then when did he come out with the album cover and the Vogue with the dress?
That was called Jeffrey, and that was in 2017, 2018, somewhere in there.
Yeah, like 2016, 2017. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Well, yeah, man. Shout out to Thug, man. Shout out to Thug, free Thug. You know what I'm saying? Free YSL, all that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But all right. Speaking of prison, I'm going to go ahead and jump in here next. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to cover my lady, So we, as y'all just saw, we each covered 3 gentlemen who we think y'all need to go revisit. Now it's time to switch over to our favorite female MCs, femcs, lady rappers, whatever you want to call them. So, my pick is one of the greatest rappers, in my opinion, probably to rap any period, male or female.
Oh.
But definitely probably the hardest female rapper maybe of all time, in my opinion. And I'm saying hardest for a reason. And that's Remy Ma. Remy Ma is so good that every time she's on a single, it becomes like an anthem. Anytime she's on a single, and we will review. She always has the quotables of that song. She literally takes over whenever, and again, we're gonna go through the evidence. I'm gonna go ahead and start with the Annie Up remix, where she begins the verse by saying, I catch you backstage, give me the keys to the Escalade. You think you cute, ho? Take off them Gucci shades. I get my dogs do you dirty. They all 730. Rock a ski mask, whether it's June or February. I'll take your show money, take your dro money. Yo, yap that fool, cause I don't know money. For my peeps that hate slow money, I put them in the street just so they can come and take all your money. Wish I could bring Bun back. Bitch, run that. Bitch, run that. Bitch, run that. Like, Remy is crazy, and I'll point out the quotable in there, right there. I get my dogs to do you dirty. They all 730. Rock a ski mask, whether it's June or February. Like, girls ain't rapping like that. I'm sorry. They wasn't really back then. They not now. Like, and then we'll continue with Lean Back. How big of an anthem was Lean Back? Who had the quotables in that song? I will argue Remy, Let's get into her verse. R to the easy, M to the wizard. My arms stay breezy, the dawn stay flizzy. Got a date at 8, I'm in the 740 fizz-ov, and just bought a bike so I can ride till I die. With a matching jacket, about to cop me a mansion. My niggas in the club, but they not dancing. We gangster, and gangsters don't dance, we boogie. So never mind how we got in here with burners and hoodies. Listen, we don't pay admission and the bouncers don't check us, and we walk around the metal detectors. Like, that's the quotable. That's the quotable in that song. That's the shit that people remember. The my niggas in the club, and they're not dancing. We gangster, and gangsters don't dance. We boogie. So never mind how we got in here with burners and hoodies. Like, that's the line everybody says. And we walk around the metal detectors. Like, Remy always has the quotable. And then let's bring it to modern day, all the way up, where she says, and I quote, just left the big house to a bigger house. First of all, that's the quotable instantly. Ain't have a girlfriend, but the bitch is out. Chanel Croc bag, shit ain't even out with the gold chains. Himalayan Birkin cocaine, lit it up. Pop shit, I hit it up. Talking color money, purple yen and blue Durham. Yeah, blonde Lyra. Ain't talking about the Ross bitch. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's just going nuts. Like, but just left a big house to a bigger house. Like, that's the quotable. Excuse me. So I say all that to say, whenever the fuck Remy Ma gets on a track, she takes over. She has the most memorable lines of the song. And it always goes to like #1. Lean Back was a #1 hit for it was I think the longest charting song like of all time until the record was broken, like pretty recently, if I'm not mistaken. I'm saying all the way up. That was huge, and everybody, you know what I mean? Like, that was on every commercial and every sports, everything. Like, you still hear that when you go to the games, you know what I'm saying? So that's made it to Whoop There It Is level damn near. You know what I'm saying? And when I say that, I mean Whoop There It Is played at every sports game. Still. You know what I'm saying? All the way up. It's played at every sports game now.
It's definitely classic. And then when you said she was the hardest female ever, I was like, who the fuck you finna say? I was literally because you didn't share your list. I didn't know. I was like, this, you know, it makes sense. And then even for me going back, because I'm a battle rap enthusiast, like a battle rap, you know, from the Smack DVDs when they were actually DVDs. And you know, let's not forget that, you know, we were all introduced to Fight Club on the battle rap circuit from Lady Luck in the Remy Ma battle. And that's, you know, that's when Remy had bars. Even, I mean, she still does have bars, but that was everyone can't hop in the battle rap ring if you're a commercial studio rapper. You cannot you cannot get in front of someone and say, oh yeah, I do this. I have bar for bar. We're gonna have a battle for 3 minutes, 30 seconds, whatever. You can't. That's a different genre. That's a different skill set. You just don't and they don't equally. You can be a great battle rapper and not a great song, and you can have a great song and not a great battle rap. They don't, just because you can rap is not the catalyst that makes you great at both. You know, so Remy in that aspect, because Remy can go toe for toe with any battle rap.
Not forget, she can battle on wax too.
Yeah. So, and you know, iconic bars for everyone that's done time. The best Remy Ma bar was, I was gone for 7 winters and 6 summers. I mean,
you see what I'm saying? This is what I'm saying. I didn't bring that bar up. You brought that bar up. This is what I mean. She has quotables for years, literally. Yeah. Like, not even for days. She's quotables for years.
Yeah, you are. How long was you on? 7 winters, 6 summers.
What?
Yeah. Couldn't tell her shit after that.
Yeah. Eric, talk your Remy shit, Eric. Come on.
Remy is better than a lot of niggas, bro.
Yeah.
Let's just keep it all the way 1,000. Remy Ma is better than a lot of niggas. I remember growing up and our mom wanting a 745 BMW. And I asked her why. And she said, I saw this music video you guys were watching and this girl was rapping about it. And I said, who are you talking about? And she just pointed at the screen one day when we were watching it. And sure enough, it was Remy Ma talking about the 745 BMW.
And let me just say real quick about that line. She said, I got a date at 8. I'm in the 745. So it's 7:45 while she's driving the 7:45 on her way to the date. Continue.
Also, I just want to say also about Remy Ma that is like something that I didn't think could ever be done. She made the ether beat relevant.
Like again, yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people tried to make that beat relevant again over the years. When she came at Nicki's head on that Sheether shit, dog, that was one of those records. That was one of the last female diss rap records that I remember stopping the whole timeline.
That was one of the last
everyone being like
the whole timeline. Period, I would argue.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe minus like one of like Drake's last.
That's what I was gonna say. Like besides Drake, like
Drake or Push.
Yeah,
Push. You know, he's dead for a minute too. But yeah, that Sheether was crazy.
Other than that, yeah, I don't remember another like a straight up diss record where it stopped everything. Where it was like, nigga, she dropped this shit. Listen to her right now.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
He never recovered from Sheether.
No.
Like, she never recovered. It was her, Pusha T line on Drake. You can say Drake never recovered too, but Drake never fell off either.
Right. He just
it didn't fall off, but he never recovered. We agreed that, Nicki took a bar, because let's not forget, this is Nicki. This is we talking about. All these bitches is my son's Nicki, right. And one bitch ain't your son.
Yeah, I was gonna say Remy ain't.
One bitch is your daddy.
Yeah. No.
So you can't put it out there like that. So she never recovered from that.
Whereas with Drake, we still let him get away with the greasy talk a little bit.
Yeah, Nikki,
We
like
let him get away with it. We don't care. We don't care. We let him get away with it.
Hell nah. Shout out to Pap as well. All right, Marcus, it's on you, bro. What lady you bringing to the table?
Man, I was barred from bringing who I wanted to bring to the table, who I wanted to talk about. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to mention this artist's name. I'm going to think outside the box. I'm not going to, I didn't want the counter to pop up and had a number this week. So I said, you know what? I'm going to go in the archives. Who was a female that I was listening to and was different, but was also equally slept on. And that was MIA. A lot of people remember her from Paper Planes, and she had the with the gun clap back in the bar with the I don't want to be, and it was bang bang, and that was on the radio too. That was a time when they were, it's crazy to think of censorship of the radio. They were actually bleeping out sound effects at one time.
I ain't gonna lie, that's one of the hardest songs ever. That song is so hard.
So people slept on MIA. And she was she was a London artist, a BK rap art, and did all genres, and then on top of all of that, brought this Indian swag sound that first of all, to see anything with 1,000 people doing the same thing, jumping up and down to any kind of beat. We remix them on Instagram now. But she did that shit live. It was 1,000 fucking Indian, maybe even hundreds of thousands, jumping to this song, making the video lit. MIA, Paper Planes, she had several other big ones too. But Paper Planes, Bad Girls, and these were crossover songs, but they were slept on the American side. We don't give her credit. She's not in anyone's top 10. No one will ever say MIA as greatest rapper and when you make any list. But most slept on, easily.
And then I also want to just throw out there, of course, the fact that her song Paper Planes is responsible for one of the most classic collaborations in hip-hop history. Swagger Like Us. That song doesn't happen without Paper Planes. You know what I'm saying? Eric, you got any thoughts on MIA?
Yeah, I would agree with you that she's responsible for one of the hottest collab records of all time. I would say she probably gave Kanye a lot of inspiration around that time period. Because that was when rap was kind of in a weird place. And we were trying to kind of figure out what the next sound was going to be. That was like right around like 09, 010, like around that era. And I remember coming out of like the mid 2000s and we were kind of in like we were like just starting to figure out that like the mixtape era was changing. That it was like changing from this thing that was not just rapping over freestyles anymore. It was changing from people just rapping over a regular like classic or like their own instrumentals, like just like albums. And I remember MIA being a very big prominent part of that sound. And I think that personally, if it wasn't for her, a lot of that like early indie wave of rap that was like coming up like that, like early Big Sean when he was like not on his like hood shit, but like when he was.
That's exactly what I was thinking of. I was thinking like that
Chance the Rapper, like people like that. Like if it wasn't for MIA and for people accepting how weird she was, if she's one of those people that like kind of had that like out there type of style that people really gravitated to. And I think if it wasn't for people like her, then some of the guys that were coming out during that point wouldn't have felt so inclined to have jumped out there so quickly. But because of artists like her, it was way more acceptable.
I would say Cudi, probably part of that wave too, right? Like, would you argue that, or would you say Cudi's probably part of that wave?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Like early Big Sean.
Yeah.
Fresh off of Young Money Currency, because that was that era.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We was doing a lot of shit with Wiz. That was the early Wiz era.
Roth.
Asher Roth, yeah.
Yeah, people like that. Like,
kind of the college music era, almost.
Yeah.
Like that, yeah. Okay.
When the freshman class was truly freshman.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's a good way to put it. All right, Eric, bring it home, bruh. Who is the lady you're bringing to the table today?
Please tell me why you always hating. Tell me why you always hating. Please tell me why you always hating. Tell me why you always hating. Man, shout out to my girl Kamaya. That was the first time I ever heard Kamaya, actually. And it's funny because like she didn't even have a verse on that song, but it's funny how memorable a hook can kind of propel you up to a different level of artistry. And it was something about the swag she had on that song. And then she just kind of carried that on throughout like everything else that I had ever heard her on. And yeah, Kamaya, she's from the Bay Area. She actually has a lot of music out, which I'm gonna get to in just a moment. But yeah, I just picked her because like I feel like she's one of those people that is amongst the new crop of female artists that does not get talked about enough. We are talking about right now our Ice Spices. We're talking about our Glorrillas. We're talking about our Coil Rays. We're talking about our Cardi B's. We're talking about all these people, all these wonderful female artists, and they're doing their thing. And the crop is Lotto, Meg Thee Stallion. Like, there's so many people I could just keep Rhapsody. Like, you can keep rattling off names. But one of the people I just feel like doesn't get talked about enough is Kamaya. And Kamaya has that Bay Area swag. She brings her own flow to the table. She's really connected with the West Coast scene. And I just feel like artists like her kind of need that spotlight to kind of propel what she's doing and her sound up to the forefront, because I can't really tell you a lot of Kamaya songs that I've heard that have been bad. And then you even get into our first single, How Does It Feel? It was me and Joey B and Cocaine James in the same clique, same friends, never change on my folks. You know, hot boys here, got them things on the low. Wise pull up straight, swing, switching lanes on a hoe. All this money in the world, it's a shame to go broke. Everybody got dreams, some just aiming too low. Like, she give you that West Coast flow on the whole shit. Like, she has that cool demeanor on her shit. And I just feel like not enough female artists get enough spotlight on that. Like, they get all the spotlight on everything else, but they don't get a lot of spotlights on just being that like just cool down to earth chick. And for me, like, just again, every Kamaya song that I've heard, every feature that she's been on, she's just been that down low chick that's just chilling. And again, she has so many projects out that I'm surprised that people don't bring up. And she was only on the XXL freshman list in 2017. So she's been doing her thing for a minute, but she's had projects out since 2018, and I'm looking at 6 of them right now. So I mean, that just shows you like the grind that Kamaya has been on. And I just wanted to show her some love, man, because again, we shine a lot of light on a lot of the new female artists that do a lot of things really well. And for Kamaya, I just think that someone needs to highlight the things that she does really well.
Hell yeah, man. And you was actually playing some shit earlier for me before we started recording. I was like, that shit hard as hell. Like, I was in here like
a few days ago called Champagne Tears, and I was like,
yeah, man.
Talk real quick. And again, like, she just knows how to come in with that smooth ass style. Like, and like, she's one of those people, you know who she kind of reminds me of? She kind of reminds me of like a female version of Larry June almost.
I can see why you say that.
You know,
I can see why you say that.
Like,
she's a little more intense, I would say. She has a little more intensity. But I get why you say that, though. I get why you say that for sure.
So I gotta give a real quick shout out to you, Shane. You know, stepping in for Allie. You know, we had a different show in a different field, and you know, she had to take care of some personal business. But she is not. She's definitely missed. For sure. But I had an Allie moment right now. You know, who is this motherfucker you just talked about? Because I'm so glad y'all couldn't see my face, and it was all on you for the last 6 minutes. Because I was looking at her like.
So her name's Kamaya. I would say she came to prominence featuring with YG.
I don't know who you talking about.
She's been on the last
YG.
I think she's been on every YG album since the second one. Yes. Or the third one, something like that.
Mm.
And she's on some prominent singles with them and stuff like that. So
go down the rabbit hole for sure. But yo, I was like most slept on. This nigga pulled somebody who was actually sleeping. Like, I mean, you can I was like, who is this? Like nah, bro. I didn't know who you talk. Then you said
I'm gonna throw her up one more time. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's what she looks like.
I saw the
check her out. That's Kamaya right there.
And you know, I thought you was playing games because I was like, this nigga put a picture of Tweet. Like, oops.
Shout out to Tweet. That was one of my favorite beats, my favorite songs ever. I love that song.
Yeah,
shout out to Tweet.
I was like, that's Tweet. Who is this chick? Looking like, and then every you said, oh, she's not the Rhapsody, know her. She's not the Lotto, know her. She's not the Gorilla, love her. You named every other female who I had heard. And you're like, oh yeah, Kamaya. I'm like, who?
6 projects deep. You know what I'm saying? Check her out for sure.
Yeah.
Well, all right, y'all. You know what I'm saying? We appreciate y'all for checking us out. Once again, salute to Allie. She'll be back next week. Don't even trip. You know what I'm saying? I'm not replacing her. No shit like that. You know what I mean? I was just stepping in to have a little fun with my brother and my new brother. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to Marcus. Shout out to Eric G. You know what I mean? My name is Shane G. You can normally catch me on Wednesdays on OTI, Open to Interpretation. You can also check me out on Saturdays for Politics as Usual. Both of those shows are going to be right here on the Ethos Media Network. So please like, share, subscribe. And until next week, this is the Bar Exam. Peace.
Yo.
What up, though, y'all? Appreciate y'all's support. Make sure you like, you share, you subscribe. We just passed 400 subscribers. Help get us to 500. You feel me? Like, share, subscribe. Ethos Media Network.
Me off like a motherfucker.
Yeah. I'm gonna, and I'm gonna record different ones for the different subscriber counts. Once we hit 500, I'll switch it up.
Once it started playing, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. The ending's playing.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like,
Marcus, look up YG. Why you always